I'm Senator Lindsey Graham, and you're watching Rabbi Doug.
We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug on your TV tonight. But Daddy, I want to watch Monday Night Football.
Forget about Monday Night Football. There's no other thing we're gonna watch on Monday but Rabbi Doug.
Yeah, Rabbi Doug on TV tonight. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. Oh, everybody talk about
Hello and welcome to Taped with Rabbi Doug. We are here at the undisclosed location in Skokie, Illinois on October 7th, 2024, 1 year after the Hamas terrorist attacks in Israel, where over 1,200 people were murdered, starting a war with Israel and what has led up to recent current events. This memorial service, which is being hosted by the JUF, Jewish United Fund, and Jewish Federation for the Chicago community, remembering all of those who were lost and reminding us that we are not alone. Stay with us here in Skokie, Illinois on Taped with Rabbi Doug as we commemorate October 7th.
Tonight we mourn and kindle a memorial flame. In the midst of darkness, the light of life eternal shines bright in memory of those murdered on October 7th, in memory of the soldiers of the IDF who gave their lives in defense of the State of Israel, and in memory of the murdered hostages and all innocent lives lost. We will now hear some reflections from Inan Cohn, our incomparable Consul General of Israel to the Midwest.
Good evening. Shortly after the establishment of Israel, David Ben-Gurion was asked, "Are you satisfied?" The old man replied, "Ask me when Israel is 75. Tragically, at 75 years, our nation was struck by the greatest devastation in its history. The immense destruction and loss we suffered on October 7th have left us with deep, ongoing pain. For the past year, we have lived with this heartache, mourning lives lost, and enduring the anguish of hostages still held captive, while feeling the weight of constant threats. This year, we leave a profound mark for decades. It has not only reshaped the strategic landscape in the Middle East, but also served as a defining moment both for Israeli society and for the relation between Israelis and American Jews. Let me elaborate on these points. First, the harrowing Hamas massacre on October 7th, followed by Hezbollah's initiation of war against Israel the next day, has been part of a broader Iranian strategy designed to encircle Israel with a so-called ring of fire. Iran has built a powerful war machine with Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis in Yemen, and Shiite militias in Syria and Iraq. Every act of violence in the region bears the imprint of Iranian inspiration, political influence, and financial backing. Iran has equipped its terror proxies with advanced long-range missiles and trained them for large-scale invasions, as seen in the events of October 7th. Just recently, Hezbollah was preparing to carry out a similar massacre, likely on an even larger scale. Thanks to the IDF strategic operations and determined efforts in the past weeks, Hezbollah's murderous plans were foiled. Iran's recent ballistic attack on Israel reveals its frustration as it witnessed the unraveling of their terror network. We must continue dismantling Iran's terror apparatus to ensure a safer Middle East. Out of this darkness, there may be a silver lining, as more Arab nations, including Saudi Arabia, could join the circle of peace with Israel in the aftermath of this war. Secondly, during this time of darkness and amid the failures of our state institutions, the spirit of Israelis has shone brightly. Our civil society has demonstrated remarkable resilience, strength, and resourcefulness. Communities across the country have mobilized to support one another, proving that the bonds that unite our nation are far stronger than the forces that have tried to sow division. After a year of growing polarization, October 7th served as a wake-up call, reminding us that we cannot afford to let those who seek division prevail. Over the past year, inspiring leaders have emerged from all walks of life, filling me with hope for Israel's future and our ability to rebuild the fabric of our society. Thirdly, this year has shown that Israelis and American Jews do not just need each other. We fundamentally depend on one another. That we need you is quite obvious. The mobilization and advocacy of American Jews were crucial in securing the United States' strategic commitment to Israel after October 7th, preventing the war from expanding and ensuring the ongoing supply of arms necessary for our defense. It also brought a tangible American presence in the region, serving to deter Iran and its terror proxies. On top of that, you gathered substantial resources to provide immediate relief to Israeli communities affected by the devastation, at a time we needed you more than ever before. At the same time, this year has revealed another profound truth. You also deeply depend on Israel. Over the past year, so many of you shared the feeling that, as American Jews, Israel is not just a second homeland. It is a crucial reference point in defining your Jewish identity. When Israel's security was under threat, many of you felt that a fundamental part in your identity was shaken. When Israel was traumatized, so too was your own identity. In these times of rising anti-Semitism, we have come to realize in a very real way that a strong Israel is essential not only for Israelis, but also for Jews worldwide. In the coming years, we must continue to cultivate the bond to ensure it continues to mutually benefit the two largest Jewish communities in the world, the one in Israel and the one in America. As I conclude, I cannot go without mentioning the 101 hostages still held by Hamas. For those of you who have posters of the hostages, I invite you to stand up and raise them. Our hearts break each day thinking about the fate of the hostages in Gaza's terror dungeons. Time is running out for our hostages, and we must do everything in our power to bring them home. Please continue to raise awareness and keep them in your thoughts and prayers until every last one is returned. Because we must bring them home. Join me. Bring them home. Bring them home. Bring them home. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Consul General. Please share our Chicago Jewish community's deepest condolences to our Israeli brothers and sisters, and let them know our hearts ache along with theirs. I would like to call on Congressman Brad Schneider, who represents the 10th Congressional District in Illinois, for his thoughts.
Good evening. Zikaron, memory. Today we are gathered as a community, the Chicago Jewish community, with many of our friends, my colleagues, to remember a horrible day and the events that have followed. October 7th, 2023, seared our souls and shattered our hearts. We know the numbers. More than 1,200 murdered, tortured, raped, dead bodies mutilated beyond recognition. Thousands more were wounded. 251 taken hostage, as we saw 101 still remain in Gaza. October 7th, 2023 was without a question the worst day for the Jewish people since the end of World War II. Our world, the world for the global Jewish community, Israel, was forever changed. It is important to note that the very next day, October 8th, Hezbollah started its year-long bombardment of rockets, missiles, and drones. More than 60,000 people have been evacuated from their homes in the north, and places like Metula and Kiryat Shmona have been virtually destroyed, or literally destroyed. We've seen rockets and drones from the Houthis in Yemen, attacks emanating from Syria and Iraq by Iranian-backed militias. And on April 13th, Iran directly launched more than 300 drones, cruise missiles, and rockets at Israel. Thankfully, with the help of the United States and other allies, that attack was defeated. But Iran was not deterred. Just last week, on October 1st, Iran launched 180 ballistic missiles targeting the entire population, 10 million people in Israel. Again, Israel, supported by the US and others, thwarted that attack. In the 367 days since last October, all of us here have sought to revive our spirits, to fortify our defenses, both physical and emotional, and defeat the enemies that seek nothing less than the elimination of the Jewish state of Israel, and the genocide of the Jewish people. We're in the season of memory with the high holidays. I want to thank my dear friend, Rabbi Engel, who gave me, as I was preparing a thought, a quote from Rabbi Yosef Chaim Yerushalmi in his book, Zachor. He says, history is what we read in the books. Memory is what is lived. For 367 days, we have been living with the memory of those who were murdered on October 7th. It is in that memory that we will carry on. We will remember the 1,200. We'll remember all of those who have sacrificed themselves in the days since. We'll hold in our hearts the heroes of October 7th, many who have given their own lives to defend the Jewish state of Israel. Those who attacked Israel on October 7th sought to destroy a country and a people. On this October 7th, I'm here to say that Israel is strong and the Jewish people stand united. I am grateful for our community. We live in a very special place, but we also live in a very dangerous time. People will seek to divide us. People will seek to defeat us. We cannot let them win. We must stay united in solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Israel. We must make sure that the United States, as it has done every day since last October 7th, stands to ensure that Israel can defend itself against the threats from Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and ultimately Iran. We must ensure that Iran never, under any circumstances, acquires a nuclear weapon. We know the threats, but we can't lose hope for the promises. On Passover, we pray next year in Jerusalem. On the high holidays of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, we think about Jerusalem. All of us hold in our hearts the hope that Israel and Israel's neighbors will someday find a way to live together in peace. As long as Hamas controls Gaza, Hezbollah dominates Lebanon and threatens Israel, as long as Iran and its axis of evil continues to try to build a ring of fire, there can be no peace. But as long as good people stand together, as long as the United States stands with Israel, our greatest friend in the world, and ensures Israel remains a democratic Jewish state, we will hold the hope for peace and continue the fight for our future. We are a strong people. Israel is a strong nation. The United States stands with Israel and the Jewish people. Am Yisrael Chai.
Hersh Goldberg-Polin of blessed memory was a 23-year-old American Israeli who was taken captive and ultimately murdered by Hamas. Hersh's parents grew up in our Chicago community, and we all felt like we knew Hersh. Abby and Leah Polin, Hersh's aunt and grandma, have a message to share with us this evening.
Shalom. I am Leah Goldstein-Polin, and I am the Savta of Hersh Goldberg-Polin. Today, which was the 5th of Tishrei on the Hebrew calendar, corresponding to October 3rd, would have been Hersh's 24th birthday. When my late husband Stanton and I flew to Berkeley, California for the bris, like all new grandparents, we imagined the life of this new precious son. And when we heard the Moel, not Stan, declare, "And his name shall be Hersh," we said, "Hersh? A one-syllable name? It's not even Hebrew." We questioned John and Rachel about the unusual short name, and Rachel said, but his name is Hersh Goldberg-Polin. She saw the inquisitive look on our faces and responded that he will make his own reputation just as Hersh. Indeed, Hersh will be remembered the world over for generations to come, but not in the way Rachel and John anticipated. I am sure that every one of you in this huge crowd today is familiar with his story, so I'm not going to tell you, but just one vignette. It was Anderson Cooper, who had already been to John and Rachel's house on the lower level in Hersh's bedroom and studied every picture of Hersh on the wall. And he vowed to be the one to find him and tell them what happened. The miraculous story of journalistic talent, Anderson and his team found a discarded phone, recognized Hersh in one of the videos, and confirmed to John and Rachel that indeed their only son was taken into captivity. But John and Rachel had already received one last message from Hersh. I am sorry. I love you. No words can describe the sense of hope that engulfed the world when Hersh appeared in a video at Pesach time, indicating he was alive. No words can describe the sense of frustration as the negotiations were underway to free the hostages, and then they collapsed. No words can describe how Hersh and the hostages became a part of every Jewish family's daily life. And then, tikva, hope, the word that describes the feeling we all had. If only one hostage would survive, we just knew it was going to be Hersh. But it was not to be, and no words can describe adequately Hersh's funeral. As our mini cavalcade of 2 cars, one of John and Rachel, Libby and Orly, followed by one of me, my daughters, and other family members in Israel, went through the streets from their home to Har HaMenuchot. Tens of thousands of people were on the streets in Jerusalem's midday heat, crying, holding signs that said, Slicha, Slicha, we are sorry, and crying just to get a glimpse of the mourners. At the dedicated area, Israeli President Herzog greeted us. Other government officials were there as well. And wreaths from Hersh's soccer buddies from over the world, from foreign dignitaries, from corporate heads, and from just regular peace-loving citizens of the world filled the platform. No words can describe Rachel and John's eulogies for their only son. After the full shiva that followed in a government set-up huge tent down the street from their home and was attended by thousands, tens of thousands, who stood in orderly lines in the extreme heat just to tell John and Rachel, we love you and we are sorry. Sorry for Hersh's death and sorry for the way governments failed. At the closing of the 7-day mourning period, the family and the closest friends went back to the grave at Har HaMenuchot. We davened mincha, we learned mishnayos, and then each attendee in the circle told a favorite vignette about Hersh, just as the sun was setting. I was flooded with memories, and I thought of our very first night, all together in cabin 29, as a family at Ramat Darom for Passover. 18 people of all ages waiting in line for just 6 showers to get ready for the Seder. And the awkward moment of an old Savta exiting the shower wrapped in the raggedy camp towel and the quirky smile on the face of a gorgeous preteen grandson waiting to enter that same shower wrapped in his mini towel, and he just blurted out, my turn! As the stars filled the heavens, we all stood, we davened Marav, and we bid another goodbye to our Hersh. As John implored at the funeral, we must not allow Hersh and the other hostages' death by torture to be in vain, and we must all be inspired to carry out his values with our deeds. In the words of Bret Stephens in the New York Times this weekend, October 7th shook our illusions and reawakened us to where we stand as a diaspora community. Now we must reckon with who we are and what we must do. Thank you.
A week ago was the ending of Shloshim, the marking of the 30 days from the burials of Hersh, Carmel, Aiden, Almag, Alex, and Ori, brutally executed by terrorists. On the one hand, time has stood still since October 7, 2023, when Israel was relatively peaceful and life was celebratory, whether for Simchat Torah, being with family and friends, or at a music festival for love and peace. Today, 1 year later, we stand at a completely different time in history. I stand here today, once again, overwhelmed with emotions, and in particular, I feel a sense of utmost gratitude for being a part of this great Chicago community. For all of us, whether in Chicago, around the world, or in Israel, we have an immense responsibility to keep up the awareness of the stories of the lives of Hersh and all the victims of October 7th, and to keep alive the stories of the remaining 101 hostages still brutally held in captivity in hell. We may not understand if there truly is a higher meaning in all this, but it isn't asking too much of ourselves to make these small changes. As I said at the beginning, we are very blessed to be part of this great Jewish community. And if these small actions can make for even slightly a better self in this greater community, then we have taken a small step in the revolution to carry out the legacy of Hersh and the victims of 10/7. What better timing than during the days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, the Aseret Yemei Teshuvah.
Tonight, our program began with Hatikvah, the Hope, Israel's national anthem. The last line of Hatikvah expresses our yearning to be a free people in our land, the land of Zion and Jerusalem. These words have been the Jewish people's dream for 4,000 years. But the words are more than a dream, they are also a pledge to endure. Israel will prevail, and the Jewish people will endure. The survivors of Nova have vowed, we will dance again, and one day we will dance with them. Thank you.
Well, that's it from the memorial here in Skokie, Illinois, for the victims of the October 7th, 2023. 1 year later today, may their memories be for a blessing. And thanks for being with us here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. Remember, you can check out our website, www.tvrabbi.com, where you can also see former shows on the web. If you want to email us, info@tvrabbi.com is the email address. Hope to see you for better things. May all of the hostages be released. Bring them home now. And Shalom Al Yisrael. See you next time here on Taped with Rabbi Doug.
You're gonna get married or you're gonna die. Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug. Gonna see Rabbi Doug on the TV tonight.
This has been a Taped with Rabbi Doug production.